IEM Katowice 2023 is just around the corner. It's the most important tournament for all fans of this beautiful RTS game. Today I have prepared a big prediction list for all 36 players. We'll make a tier list and discuss the chances of each player in this tournament. Let's start with Su, one of the best Zerg players in the history of StarCraft 2. Known for his ability to make second place finishes, Su has been a formidable opponent for anyone who faces him, and he's also one of the few IEM Katowice champions. Back in 2016, Su was finally able to break his second place curse and he managed to win over stats with a 4-2 score, claiming the title. It was probably his peak form, and things have changed in the past couple of years. Su had to serve in the military and he took a big break from StarCraft 2 in 2021. But having returned in 2022, he struggles a lot and it seems like he is not as dangerous as he used to be. His path at IEM starts in the round of 36 and in my opinion he doesn't have high chances of winning the whole event. There is a lot of competition and I would rank his chances as average. He might get to the group stage, but it's very unlikely he'll get anywhere higher than that. Our next player is Bjorn. Nicknamed Micro Jackson, Bjorn possesses one of the best micro skills in the entire StarCraft 2 esports, and his strategy pool is really versatile. While he hasn't won any big events since 2016, he still had some nice runs, including recent Home Story Cup with a victory against Serral and also GSL Super Tournament where he just dominated Hero with a 3-0 score. His group is also really nice. He's probably the favorite alongside Maro to finish really high, and I'm fairly confident that Bjorn will be able to advance to the top 12. However, it will be really tough to get to the finals, so I would say his chances are high, but he probably won't win this event, although there is always a chance that he'll show us something unbelievable. Clem is the best Terran outside of Korea and he has proven many times to be capable of beating anyone in this game. He's been improving at a light speed and with each year he's only getting stronger. However, according to many pro players and viewers, the new map pool isn't particularly good for Terran players, so it might be a tough obstacle for our French hero. Nevertheless, I would rank him really high. Even though I would love to see Clem winning the whole event, I must admit there are players who are slightly skillful than he is, but I'm pretty sure he has really high chances to reach semi-finals or even higher. Elazer is a dark horse in this tournament. Why would I say so? Well, because Miko is a very talented player who once used to be the best non-Korean player in 2016. However, he was then moved from the spotlight by other Zergs like Serral or Raynor. He's the strongest player from Poland, and his home country might give him extra power and energy at this event. His bracket in the round of 36 is also quite doable, and he should be able to qualify for the group stage. The only problem is which group it will be. Elazer is strong against Zerg players and can upset even the best Korean Zergs, but he struggles against Protoss and sometimes Terran players, so it depends a lot on the seeding. While it's almost certain he won't win this event, his chances are decent and he should have a good run. Next we have Bunny, one of the rising Korean stars who is playing Terran race. A couple of years ago he was just an average Korean player with solid results, but now he's on his path to becoming a champion. 2022 was a great year for him, and he almost took his first championship at DreamHack Masters Atlanta, but Hero's incredible reverse sweep ruined his plans. Bunny, anyway, is 100% capable of beating anyone in this tournament, and he proved that many times in the past, dealing with players like Serral or Maru. I would say he is one of the favorites here. He just needs a little bit of luck and a good sleep, and he'll go far, I promise you that. Creator is a very interesting player. Did you know that he once took second place in the World Championship back in 2012? Last couple of years were also decent for him, but he is not as consistent as other top tier players. For example, last year he dropped out very early in Katowice, losing to Australia, only to become the runner-up in GSL tournament a couple of months later. So it's hard to make predictions about him. I would say he has okayish chances, but I won't expect anything big from him. Don Regu was a beast in Wings of Liberty. Back in 2011 he was called the final boss, and there were many proofs for that scary nickname. He was a champion and a likely winner for most events. But things have changed, and now Don Regu is nowhere near his best years. But it doesn't mean you should write him off. He's one of the most experienced players and he certainly can make a surprise. But with that being said, I think he'll have some good matches, but he's obviously not as strong as many other players, so I would rank him as a player with average chances. Maru is one of the best players in the world, so we don't really need to talk much about him, because his chances are obviously very high. The last year was a blast for him, and he is currently the highest ranked player in the APT system. While he still sometimes loses to other players like Bunny, for example, there is no doubt that Maru is the main favorite in this tournament. Nice is the best player from Taiwan, however he doesn't have many accomplishments on the international scene and he is far worse than most players in this tournament. Unlike Has, another Taiwanese prodigy, Nice isn't as cheesy and risky, but that's not really an advantage when you're facing so many amazing players who excel at the late game stage. I hope he'll have a nice run, but he certainly has almost zero chances of winning this event or even getting far. Nightmare is a decent player and he even had a nice run at DreamHack Masters Atlanta. But Katowice is stacked, and you cannot be just decent, you need to be truly great to win this tournament. And while Nightmare is certainly not the easiest opponent, he has too many strong competitors and his chances are therefore really low. Next we have Ryung, and that's a solid all-round turn player who is capable of playing on a very high level. But once again, while he's really good, he is not quite the same level as other competitors in this tournament. It's hard to rank him because there are many factors and he can sometimes surprise with good games, but I would say his chances are quite low and that's very unlikely that we'll see something special from him. Serral is the GOAT. Perhaps he is the best player that ever existed in StarCraft 2, and he was pretty much undefeatable only a couple of years ago. However, since then many players have risen to his level and Serral will certainly face fierce resistance in this tournament. But in my opinion, he is still an undisputable champion and his chances are very high, especially if we consider the new Zerg map pool and some balanced tweaks that look really good for his playstyle. With that being said, I would rank him as a potential winner. Next we have Showtime, Die Mauer, the greatest German player. He is mostly known for his rock-solid micro playstyle and he has constantly proven his amazing skills even against best players. But even though Showtime used to be one of the best players in Europe, he is now in the shadow of Raynor, Clem and Serral, and the skill level has increased significantly since his prime days. While he's certainly capable of making upsets, it will be really hard to even make it out of his group. His chances are average, and let's hope he'll deliver. Solar is among the top tier Zerg players from South Korea. He has been a very strong player ever since Heart of the Swarm, and he somehow managed to preserve his skills for so many years. This includes his recent victory at the GSL Super Tournament. Even though he might not be the best player here, he has a good shot and his chances are really nice. Next we have Spirit, a turn player from Poland. There isn't much to say about him because we have never seen any big achievements from him yet, and it's very likely we won't see them at this event either. Don't get me wrong, he's a good player, but he appears to be among the weakest in this particular tournament. His chances are very low, and I wouldn't be surprised if he drops out early. Special is a very interesting player. He has been around ever since Wings of Liberty, and he is a very talented player with a plethora of playstyles. In 2017 he was the best non-Korean player and his list of achievements is really inspiring. But just as it happened with many great players, he was outperformed by the new generation that came in 2018-2019, such as Clem, Raynor or Serral. If you want to learn more about Special, check out my big story/interview with him. He practices really hard for this event, but he is not as young as he used to be and it's gonna be a tough battle. With that said, I would qualify his chances as low, even though I'm rooting for him. Next we have Hostem, and you know, 2023 is his year. And I hate to break this to you guys, but his chances are honestly quite low. Even though he is a tough competitor in Europe, this event is a whole new level of skill. It will be hard for the captain, but we'll root for him of course. My heart is with him, but my brain says he might be eliminated too early. Lambo falls under the same pattern. Good results in Europe, but just not enough on the highest level. His group stage also features many great turn players, it's gonna be really hard, and his chances are quite low too. Astrea has recently become the best player from the US. His growth is fast, his skills are impressive, and we had many proofs just at the recent Home Story Cup, where he beat both Bjorn and Zaun. But it's really hard to predict anything here. It might be a big run, or it might be a flop. However, in his group stage, Astrea looks as somebody who is likely to advance, and I dare to say that he might even get far in this tournament, depending on who he faces in the playoffs bracket. His chances are good, so let's hope he'll deliver. Next we have Cure, really eager to see him in this tournament. He was a GSL champion 2021, but since that victory his results have been declining a bit, and it's hard to say whether he's prepared for this event or if he is far from his best form. One thing I can say for sure, his games are going to be amazing, and I would rank his chances as average. Gumiho is another old school Terran player who has been showing great results ever since 2011. But even though the last year was kinda successful for him and it seems like he's been improving, his results are often hit or miss. It's difficult to predict how he'll perform, but I strongly suggest watching his matches. His playstyle combines both bio and mech, and he has many creative strategies. I would rate his chances as average, but I'm hoping to see more from him. And next we have Hero, the Protoss player who is likely to win IEM Katowice 2023. He has been around since Hardwood's form, and he has always been great, with many achievements and first places scattered across many years of his career. His victories at GSL and DreamHack Masters indicate that he is the one to bet on, and I'm quite certain that Hero will make it to semi-finals at the very least. But you know what would be great? If he actually takes first place and makes Protoss great again. Scarlet is one of my favorite players in this tournament. Everything in her is amazing, her charming personality, her creative playstyle, and even her sporadic first places. But she's unpredictable, just like her playstyle. It could be a brilliant run, or it could be a quick elimination. Scarlet is 100% capable of beating most players in this tournament, but she is not nearly as consistent as many other competitors here. So let's say Scarlet has good chances then, but I'm not really sure about that. Next we have the best player from China, Time, also known as Oliveira. Even though he's been competing at many international events, he is still somewhat of a dark horse. 2022 wasn't particularly great for him, and his results have never been really that consistent. Sometimes he would surprise us by beating great Korean players, but sometimes he would also lose to somebody who is considered worse than him. His chances are really not that high. Armani is the equivalent of many European Zergs. He's really good, he's striving to improve, he's getting his results, but not quite at the top level yet. Maybe he'll take a map or two from great players, and that's probably it. His chances are quite low. And here we have Ragnarok, a Zerg player who was once overshadowed by many other talents. Now he's finally getting closer to his first championship, and his second place finish at GSL only proves that. He's been around since 2011 and so far he wasn't able to win any premier event. But who knows, maybe it's the time now. He's certainly capable of advancing past his group stage, but it's gonna be really tough. He has both Clem and Dark in it, as well as Nib and Time. But his chances are nice, and we might see him in the round of 12 at least. Another interesting player is Zaun from South Korea. His most recent achievement beating both Clem and Cyril at Home Story Cup, and that makes me believe that this guy is going to have a nice run. And if we take a look at his career in 2022, he has been steadily improving, and I think his chances are quite good, perhaps even getting into a round of 12. The next player is Chem, and sadly he is probably the worst Zerg player in this tournament. There are no big results, as well as expectations. Let's wish him luck and a good performance, but in my opinion, there is no chance he will be able to advance even past his first opponent, who is Nightmare. Classic is amongst the best Protoss players in the world, but this statement would be more relevant in 2019, when he just dominated almost every tournament he attended. But after his military service, his results unfortunately declined. Even though Classic is a really experienced player with amazing skills, nowadays it seems like he has stepped down from the champion position, and his results were not really that impressive in 2022. So I would rate his chances as low. Dark is just a monster, one of the most formidable players in this game. The sheer amount of his achievements is incredible, and his playstyle can be both cheesy, risky, aggressive, and also careful, late game focused with incredible economy. This guy is just great at this game. But here's one thing, Dark does make mistakes, and sometimes his build orders are not optimal, according to Lambo at least. While I'm certain he can win the whole thing, I would still rate him just slightly lower than Maro or Cyril, but his chances are really high, and I won't be surprised to see him in the finals. Rainer is IEM Katowice 2021 champion and 2022 runner-up. He's very likely to repeat that result, and it seems like he has only been improving with every month he's playing StarCraft 2. Last year he was experimenting with Protoss raids, played in GSL and had solid results in most tournaments he took part in. Unlike his rival Cyril, Rainer is more unpredictable in his playstyle, and his multitasking speed are insane. We might see him in the finals, or even win this tournament as he already did in the past. Next we have Has, the most creative Protoss player from Taiwan. He is the one to make upsets and surprise the audience with his new build orders, but to tell the truth, The game has changed quite a bit since his most successful runs. StarCraft 2 nowadays favors macro players over cheesers, and Has is notorious for his cheesy playstyle, so it's quite easy to prepare for him. His results in 2022 were bad, and it's hard to expect anything from him in this tournament. Hero Marine, also known as Big Gabe, looks really promising in this tournament. Maybe he wasn't as lucky this year, but during the last IEM Katowice, Hero Marine managed to get to the semifinals, beating Zaun and Solar and only losing one map to Raynor. He is known for his strong macro and good decision making. Overall a great player, I believe Hero Marine has a great shot at this tournament, possibly even reaching semifinals once again. The next player is Neep. Do you know that he still holds the second place as the highest earning foreigner, being only behind Serral? Neep was great. He was the first player ever to win a Premier tournament after years of Korean domination, but he hasn't been as active recently, but still somehow managed to maintain his peak performance, beating top level players at Home Story Cup. But I would still rate his chances as average. He is the kind of player who either drops out early or gets to the finals to win the whole event. Considering the competition, I would say it's unlikely, hence average chances only. Coffee is a Chinese player, and I couldn't really find a photo of him, so he will be represented as this mug with a Liberator instead. And he's just a total dark horse. We haven't seen him much on the international scene, and it's really difficult to predict his results. But if you take a look at his local tournaments, he drops maps to many players, and it's very unlikely he will be able to perform well against most competitors in Katowice. So, zero chances. T-Bull came as a replacement for Miomaika, and let's be honest, his chances are super low. He might take a map if he is really lucky, so let's just wish him luck then. So this is our final result. Do you agree with my estimations, or do you think I'm wrong with certain picks? Leave your opinion in the comments and check out more StarCraft 2 content in this playlist. Have a nice day and see you next time.